5 innocent little girls, all under 9, lost their parents in a tragic car explosion. But what came next was even worse. After the burial, their own family threw them away like unwanted trash. Nobody wanted 5 orphans. They were completely alone, abandoned, with nowhere to go. Then, a broken, childless woman made an impossible decision. She adopted not one, but all 5 of these forgotten children, even though everyone around her called her crazy. 20 years later, these 5 girls did something so unimaginable, so shocking, that it left the woman and the entire town in absolute disbelief. What they did will leave you speechless and stunned. Please comment below where you are watching from as we begin this emotional and heartwarming story. Hannah was 35 when life hit her hardest. For 12 years, she and her husband tried everything, seeing countless doctors and hoping for a child. But nothing worked. She felt like her world was crumbling, and just when she thought she couldn't take it anymore, her husband did something that shattered her world. "You're useless," her husband said one day, his voice cold. "What good is a wife who cannot give me children?" With those words, her heart shattered. Her husband then divorced her, and married another woman who could give him children. Hannah felt like she had lost everything. Her heart ached, and tears filled her eyes each night as she prayed to God, asking, "Why can't I be like other women? Why can't I have a family?" Hannah was a school teacher, and she loved children with all her heart. Every day, she smiled and poured her soul into teaching other people's kids. But when the school bell rang at the end of the day, she walked home to an empty house. The silence inside her home was unbearable, each empty room echoing the loneliness she couldn't escape. She longed for the warmth of a family she could call her own, someone to fill the silence, to share her love with. One bright morning, Hannah volunteered at a place where children without parents lived. It was a sad, quiet place, and the air felt heavy with sorrow. As Hannah walked through the entrance, her eyes fell on 5 little girls huddled together in a corner. Their faces were pale, their eyes full of fear, and they seemed so small in that vast, empty room. "Who are those girls?" Hannah asked the lady who worked there, her voice gentle, as if she didn't want to disturb the silence. The lady sighed deeply, her expression filled with sorrow. "Those are orphans," she said softly. "Their parents died in a terrible car explosion. Their family doesn't want them. There are too many of them, too much trouble. No one wants to adopt 5 children all at once. They've been here for over 5 months now, with no one to take them." Hannah looked back at the girls, her heart sinking. The oldest, Sharon, was 9 years old, and she held her baby sister, Deborah, close, as if trying to protect her from a world that had already been so cruel. Lily, 7, was sitting beside them, her eyes wide but trying to smile, as if hiding the pain behind a brave face. The twins, Justina and Juliana, only 5, sat huddled together, looking identical in their sadness. Same big brown eyes, same tiny hands, same broken spirit. But it was baby Deborah, only 3 years old, who broke Hannah's heart. Her eyes were so big and so full of sadness, like she had seen the worst of the world already. In that moment, something magical happened in Hannah's heart. It was as if God himself was whispering to her, telling her what she needed to do. "I want to adopt them," Hannah said, her voice shaking with emotion. The lady's eyes went wide in surprise. "All 5?" she asked, disbelief in her voice. "But Miss Hannah, you're not married. You don't have much money. Are you sure?" Hannah looked at the 5 girls again, her heart full of love and determination. They needed a mother. She needed children. Maybe this was the plan God had been guiding her to all along. "Yes," she said, her voice stronger now. "All 5. They are sisters. They belong together. They should stay together." In that moment, Hannah knew her life was about to change forever. Hannah brought the girls home one by one. Her house was small, but the love inside it was as big as the world. The first night, all 5 girls huddled together in Hannah's bed, trembling with fear. They had never known what it felt like to belong. As the room grew dark, Sharon, the oldest at 9, whispered softly, Are you really going to keep us?" Hannah, her heart overflowing with love, leaned down and tucked them in. "Forever and always," she promised. "You are my daughters now." That night, the house was filled with the sounds of sniffles, soft breathing, and the warmth of new beginnings. It was the first time the girls felt safe, the first time they could sleep without fear. And for Hannah, it was the start of something beautiful, her very own family. But it wasn't easy. Hannah worked hard every day. She was a school teacher, waking up early and teaching all day. Then, after school, she would return home to cook, clean, and help with the girls' homework. There were no luxuries, no fancy meals, just the warmth of a mother's love and the joy of seeing her girls grow. Some nights, she was so tired that she would fall asleep standing up, her body aching, but her heart full. Every morning, she woke up to the sound of laughter and little feet running around. The girls, excited for the day ahead, would jump into her arms, pulling her into their whirlwind of joy. Their love made every difficult moment worth it. Every morning felt like a blessing, a gift that kept her going. But not everyone shared Hannah's joy. People in the town talked behind her back, whispering cruel words whenever they saw her walking down the street with her 5 girls. "Look at that woman with all those children who aren't even hers. She's crazy. How could she possibly take care of 5 girls with no husband? Those children are bound to turn out bad. They have no father figure." Hannah heard their whispers, their judgment, but she refused to let their words touch her. She knew that love wasn't something that could be measured by a man in the house or by how much money you had. She knew that love was a gift she gave freely, and it was stronger than anything anyone could say. Money was tight, and sometimes it felt like there was never enough. Hannah bought clothes for the girls from second-hand shops, choosing carefully, picking out the best pieces she could find. The girls wore hand-me-downs, and sometimes they would share shoes and books, but they never complained. They understood that they had something money couldn't buy. They had each other, and they had a mother who loved them more than anything. Most days, their meals were simple: rice and beans, vegetables, whatever they could afford. But the girls didn't mind. They were grateful for the little things: the hugs, the laughter, and the safe home that Hannah had given them. They had a bond that not even the richest families could match. They had love, real pure love that filled their home and made it brighter than any mansion could ever be. Hannah's sacrifices weren't unnoticed by the girls. As they grew, so did their gratitude and love for the woman who had given them everything when they had nothing. They worked together, each of them finding ways to help and support their family, even when life was hard. It wasn't the easiest life, but it was their life. And it was perfect. As the years passed, Hannah watched her daughters grow, and with each passing day, she saw something special in each of them. Unique talents and dreams that were waiting to be nurtured. Sharon, the oldest, had a sharp mind for numbers. Even as a child, she could count coins faster than the adults around her. She had an uncanny ability to stretch a dollar, making it feel like it was worth 10 times more. She would organize small sales at school, finding ways to make even the smallest things profitable. Hannah saw the spark of a future businesswoman in Sharon. It was clear, Sharon had a gift for business. Lily, the next in line, loved football more than anything else. While other girls played with dolls, Lily spent her time kicking a ball around. She was always outside, running, dribbling, and showing the boys she could keep up with them, and even beat them. She could kick the ball so hard and straight that people would stop whatever they were doing just to watch her play. Hannah knew from the start that Lily had the heart of a sports star, and her passion for football would take her far. Then there were the twins, Justina and Juliana. They were different from each other in many ways, but both had a deep love for helping others. Justina would carefully bandage her dolls, pretending to be a nurse, tending to their injuries, with a serious look on her face. Juliana, on the other hand, was always reading medical books that were far too advanced for her age. Even though they were young, both of them dreamt of one day working in hospitals, saving lives, and making a difference. And finally, there was little Deborah. From the moment she started speaking, her voice was like an angel's. When she sang in church, Even the oldest, toughest men couldn't hold back tears. But Deborah wasn't just a singer, she loved to argue. Whether it was about which game to play or who should sit in the front seat of the car, Deborah always had an answer and would always win. Her sharp mind and strong will made it clear to Hannah that Deborah was destined to be both a great singer and a lawyer, someone who could use her voice to make the world listen. Hannah saw the potential in her daughters, and she was determined to help them reach for the stars, even if it meant making personal sacrifices. She worked extra jobs after school, late into the night, to pay for their special training. Sharon's talent for business didn't go unnoticed. Hannah made sure Sharon attended business classes after school. She watched her daughter's eyes light up as she learned about money, banks, and how to start a company. Sharon soaked up everything she could, her dreams growing bigger with each lesson. Lily's passion for football was undeniable. Hannah signed her up at a small football academy in their town. Every weekend, while the other girls were out shopping or hanging out, Lily was on the field, practicing her shots, running drills, and getting better with each passing day. Hannah cheered her on from the sidelines, always proud of her daughter's determination. For the twins, Justina and Juliana, who both loved medicine, Hannah bought them medical books and signed them up for science camps during the holidays. While other children were on summer vacation, the twins were learning about the human body and how to care for it. Their curiosity and passion for science grew stronger each year, and Hannah knew they were on the right path. Deborah's angelic voice needed to be nurtured, so Hannah paid for singing lessons and bought her a small keyboard to practice on. Deborah would sit for hours, her tiny fingers dancing on the keys, learning how to play songs, her voice filling their small house with music. Hannah was always tired, exhausted even, but she never complained. "My girls have big dreams," she would tell people with a smile. "I will do anything to help them reach the sky." Every sacrifice, every long night, was worth it. Seeing her girls chase their dreams made Hannah's heart soar. When Lily turned 18, she played in the biggest football competition of her life. The stadium was packed, and the air was electric with excitement. The crowd cheered as Lily took the field, her heart racing but filled with determination. This was her moment, the one she had worked for her entire life. In the middle of the game, Lily did something no one had ever seen before. With precision and power, she scored 5 goals, each one more spectacular than the last. The crowd erupted in cheers, their applause echoing through the stadium. The coaches, the players, and even the spectators were in awe. They'd never seen a performance like this, and Lily's name was on everyone's lips. After the final whistle blew, a man in an expensive suit approached Hannah. His polished shoes clicked against the stadium floor, and his voice was calm but filled with excitement. "Ma'am, I represent an international football club," he said with a smile. "We want to sign your daughter. She is extraordinary." Hannah's heart skipped a beat. Tears filled her eyes, and for the first time in years, she let herself cry. Not from exhaustion, but from pure joy. All the hard work, the sacrifices, the late nights, it had led to this moment. Her daughter, the little girl who had kicked a ball in their tiny backyard, was about to play football in big stadiums around the world. Within just 1 year, Lily became famous. Her face appeared on TV screens, her name in newspapers. She played in front of thousands, her skills on display for the world to see. But Lily never forgot where she came from. Every month, without fail, she sent money home to help her sisters and Hannah, making sure they had everything they needed. Despite her growing fame, Lily remained humble. She never let the glitz and glamour of her new life change her. Every time she stepped onto the field, she remembered the backyard where it all started, where she had kicked that ball over and over, dreaming of this very moment. One evening, as Hannah sat at home, her phone rang. It was Lily. Her voice, always filled with warmth and love, made Hannah's heart swell. "Mama," Lily said, her voice steady but filled with emotion, "I could not have done this without you. You believed in me when I was just a little girl kicking a ball in our backyard." Hannah smiled, her heart full. "No, Lily," she said softly. "You did this. I only gave you the chance to believe in yourself. And in that moment, Hannah knew that all her sacrifices, all the sleepless nights, had been worth it. Seeing Lily live her dream was the greatest reward of all. One by one, all of Hannah's daughters began to achieve the dreams she had always believed in for them. It was as if the love, dedication, and sacrifices had woven a powerful thread that carried them to greatness. Sharon, the brilliant businesswoman, started her own company at just 22. Her mind for numbers and strategy was unmatched. By the time she was 25, she had already built 3 successful companies, and her name was recognized in business circles around the world. People started calling her the young business queen. Sharon's success didn't come easily, but it came with every lesson Hannah had taught her. How to take risks, how to stay focused, and most importantly, how to never stop believing in herself. Juliana followed her own path, a path Hannah had always known she was destined for. She became a doctor, working at the best hospital in the country. Her hands saved countless lives, and her heart never turned away from those in need. Juliana's work was celebrated, and she won awards for her dedication and skill. But it wasn't just her talent that made her special. It was her kindness. Just like Hannah had taught her, she treated every patient with the utmost care, and in return, they adored her. Justina, the gentle spirit of the family, became the head nurse at a major hospital. Her ability to calm the anxious and heal the hurt made her beloved by patients and colleagues alike. Every day, she brought compassion to her work, helping those who needed it the most. Her leadership in the hospital grew, and she was respected for her expertise and her warm heart, just like Hannah had always shown her. Deborah, the one with the voice of an angel, became a lawyer and a gospel singer. Her courtroom skills were unmatched, and she never lost a case. But it was her voice that made her a legend. Deborah recorded gospel songs that were played on radio and TV stations all over the country. People said her voice could heal souls, that it carried a power and purity that was unmatched. She had become the voice of the people, using her music and her legal mind to fight for justice. Hannah stood back and looked at the women her daughters had become. She had always known they were destined for greatness, but to see them living their dreams, one by one, filled her heart with an indescribable pride. The 5 little girls who had once been unwanted, the ones who had no place to call home, had transformed into 5 queens, each wearing a crown of their own making. She had given them love when no one else would, and in return, they had built lives filled with purpose, passion, and success. Hannah smiled through her tears, knowing that she had done everything right. Her girls were not just successful, they were kind, strong, and filled with the same love she had poured into them. They had become the women she always knew they could be. The dream she once had of a family filled with love had come true, more beautifully than she could have ever imagined. On Hannah's 60th birthday, her house was filled with love, laughter, and excitement. But little did she know, her 5 daughters had been planning something truly special for her. They had kept the surprise secret, and now, it was time for Hannah to see how much they truly appreciated her. "Close your eyes, Mama," Sharon said gently, taking Hannah's hand in hers. Hannah, both curious and excited, closed her eyes as she felt the warmth of her daughter's love around her. The air was filled with anticipation as they guided her outside. When Hannah opened her eyes, she gasped, her heart pounding in her chest. Before her stood a beautiful, massive house, the likes of which she had never imagined in her wildest dreams. A sparkling swimming pool shimmered in the sunlight, and a garden, bursting with vibrant flowers, surrounded the home. But it was the sign at the front gate that took her breath away: Hannah's Palace. Hannah's knees went weak. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Lily, tears streaming down her face, stepped forward and said, "We bought this for you, Mama. You gave us everything when you had nothing. Now, we want to give you everything." Hannah stood speechless, her eyes brimming with tears. Her heart was overwhelmed with love, joy, and gratitude. She couldn't find the words, so she simply cried, tears of joy that flowed freely, feeling every inch of the love that surrounded her. One by one, each of her daughters spoke. "You called us your daughters when nobody else wanted us," Juliana said, her voice thick with emotion. "You worked day and night for our dreams," Justina added, her hands trembling as she held her mother close. "You loved us when the world said we were too much trouble," Deborah said, her voice soft but full of pride. "And now, Mama, the world will know that you raised 5 queens," Sharon finished, her voice full of gratitude and admiration. Hannah looked at her beautiful new home, her eyes roaming over every corner, but it wasn't the house that filled her with the most joy. It was the sight of her 5 daughters, strong, successful, and filled with love. They were her greatest gift. The little girls who had once been abandoned, neglected, and told they were too much trouble had grown into incredible women. They were the women Hannah always knew they could be. For the first time in years, Hannah let out a deep, contented sigh. The woman who had once been called useless, who had been left behind by the world, was now surrounded by more love than she had ever dreamed possible. She was home, not just in a house, but in the hearts of her daughters, who had become everything she had hoped for, and so much more. 2 years after the incredible surprise, something even more amazing happened. All 5 of Hannah's daughters, who had once been abandoned and overlooked by the world, had found love. And not just any love, true, deep, unbreakable love. Each daughter found her perfect match, and they all decided to get married in the same year. But they didn't stop there. What they planned next would leave everyone in awe. Instead of having separate weddings, they came together and made a bold decision that stunned everyone. They would have one grand wedding for all 5 couples, on the same day. "We want to celebrate love together, just like we grew up together," Sharon explained to Hannah, her voice filled with warmth and joy. Hannah, overwhelmed by the thoughtfulness of her daughters, could barely find the words. She had always dreamed of seeing them happy, but this was beyond her wildest dreams. The wedding day arrived, and it was nothing short of a fairy tale. 5 beautiful brides stood side by side in their flowing white dresses, each one shining with happiness. 5 handsome grooms waited eagerly at the altar, their eyes fixed on the women who had captured their hearts. The ceremony was held in a breathtaking hall, filled with flowers, candles, and the sweet scent of love in the air. Hundreds of guests gathered, from family to close friends, to celebrate this unforgettable day. The music played, the guests danced, and joy filled the room. But amidst all the festivities, there was one moment that stood out above all others, a moment that would stay with Hannah forever. The wedding speaker, a dear friend of the family, raised the microphone and said, "Before we celebrate these 5 beautiful couples, let us honor the queen who raised these 5 amazing women. Hannah, please stand up." And with that, the entire crowd stood up in unison, clapping for 5 whole minutes. The applause echoed throughout the hall, and tears of joy streamed down the faces of everyone in the room. Guests, friends, and even strangers were moved by the love and gratitude in the air. Hannah stood there, overwhelmed, with her hands over her heart. She had never felt more important in her life. Her eyes shone with happy tears, her heart swelling with pride for the women her daughters had become. "You are not just a mother," the speaker continued, his voice full of admiration. "You are a miracle worker. You turned 5 scared little girls into 5 queens. You are not just a mother. Hannah, you are a queen mother." The words hung in the air like a golden crown placed gently upon her head. Hannah couldn't speak, but she didn't need to. The love, the respect, and the gratitude she felt from her daughters and the crowd said everything. Her life, once full of heartache, loneliness, and struggles, had come full circle. She had given everything she had, and in return, she had been surrounded by more love than she ever dreamed possible. 5 queens, all from the love and care of one woman, a mother who had refused to give up on them. As the applause continued, Hannah looked around at her 5 beautiful daughters, her heart full. They were no longer the scared little girls she had once brought home. They were strong, successful women, each with their own dreams, their own families. And today, they were all together, celebrating love, family, and the incredible journey they had shared. It was the happiest day of Hannah's life, and as she stood there, surrounded by her girls, she knew that no matter what, love was the greatest gift she could ever give. And in return, she had received a love beyond measure. A year after the grand wedding, Hannah got the best news of her life. All 5 daughters were pregnant. They gave birth in the same year, in different months. Hannah became a grandmother to 6 beautiful babies. 6 beautiful babies, all born in the same year, filling Hannah's heart with more love than she ever thought possible. Sharon, the first to give birth, had twins, a boy and a girl. She named the little girl after the woman who had changed her life forever. Baby Hannah, named in honor of her grandmother, was wrapped in a soft blanket, her tiny hands curled up like the promise of something precious. "Mama," Sharon said, her voice full of love as she held her daughter in her arms. "This little girl will know the story of her grandmother. How you took 5 forgotten children and loved them into greatness. How you showed us what it meant to never give up on family, to never stop loving." Hannah's heart melted as she looked at her granddaughter, her namesake. She carefully lifted baby Hannah into her arms, marveling at her tiny, perfect form. Tears filled her eyes as she whispered, "Welcome to the world, little Hannah. You are born into a family that believes in miracles." Hannah gazed at her granddaughter, remembering the days when she had felt so alone, so lost. Now, in her arms, she held a new generation, one filled with hope, love, and the strength of everything she had fought for. Today, Hannah lives in her beautiful palace, surrounded by the love of her 5 successful daughters and 6 grandchildren. The house is always full of laughter, the kind of joy Hannah had always dreamed of. The walls echo with playful chatter, the sounds of games being played, and the warmth of family. Something she never had growing up, but something she made sure to create for her own. The grand house is a symbol of everything she had worked for, but more importantly, it represents the love that built it. People from all over the country come to visit, eager to hear Hannah's story. They want to know how she managed to raise 5 extraordinary daughters with so little money but so much love. They want to understand the secret behind her success, how she turned her dreams into a reality, how she made it all work despite the odds. And Hannah's answer is always simple, yet profound. "Love is the only thing you need," she says, her voice steady and sure. "When you love children with your whole heart, they grow wings and fly higher than the sky." Hannah's journey is a testament to the power of unconditional love. The woman who was once called useless by the world became the most important person in 6 lives. She had been told that she would never be enough, that she couldn't have the family she dreamed of, but she refused to believe it. The woman who once thought she was broken, abandoned, alone, and without hope, became the glue that held her family together. She built a dynasty, not out of wealth or status, but out of love. She proved that a mother's heart, full of love and sacrifice, can do what money and status never could. Hannah had always believed that the greatest gifts were the ones that came from the heart, not from riches or possessions. And she proved that sometimes, God's greatest blessings come in packages nobody else wants. Sometimes, the children who need you most are waiting in places others refuse to look, and all it takes is one person to see their potential, to love them as they are. The 5 little girls that nobody wanted became 5 queens who changed the world. They rose from the ashes of their difficult pasts, transformed by the love of a mother who saw them not as burdens but as blessings. They became doctors, lawyers, businesswomen, and artists, each one shining in her own right, each one with a heart full of the love Hannah had given them. And it all happened because one woman decided that love was stronger than fear, stronger than loneliness, and stronger than anything people could say. She gave them not just a home, but a future. She gave them a foundation built on love, trust, and the belief that they could be anything they wanted to be. In the end, it wasn't the big house, the fame, or the success that mattered most. It was the love that held it all together. And in that love, Hannah found her greatest blessing. The family she always dreamed of, a family that proved that love is the most powerful force in the world. Hannah's story teaches us that family is not about blood, it's about love. It's about showing up every single day, even when it's hard. It's about believing in others when they cannot believe in themselves, and giving them the chance to grow into the greatness they never knew was possible. If you ever feel like you're not good enough, remember Hannah. If you ever think your dreams are too big, remember the 5 little girls who became queens against all odds. Sometimes, the most beautiful families are not born from blood, but from choice. Sometimes, The greatest love stories aren't between a husband and wife, but between a heart that gives and hearts that receive. Hannah didn't just adopt 5 girls. She adopted 5 miracles. And in return, those 5 miracles adopted her right back, making her life richer than she ever imagined. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember that love always wins. Which of Hannah's daughter's journeys inspired you the most? Drop her name in the comments, or tell us the biggest lesson Hannah's story left with you. Subscribe for more powerful stories about ordinary people doing extraordinary things, about love that changes lives, and about families that prove blood is not thicker than love. Thank you for watching. Your support means the world, and we're grateful to have you as part of this journey.